All right. So first, let me explain how this will go. So every week we have a debate, and the purpose of the debate club is basically to provide a space where we, as the citizens of the country, can come together and then discuss things, and we can, we will discuss about topics of our own choice. Like it's basically like a member-driven club. I'm the host, but I don't decide much. Like I'm just like facilitating things. So what we do is like we on our website, like you'll go and submit a topic, and then we'll have a vote on the topic, as to like we'll have multiple suggestions, and we'll vote on which topic to take on the next debate on the WhatsApp group, and then we choose the topic. And last week we had the choice of this double income no kids thing, like whether it is prevalent, whether the prevalence of the double income no kids culture is detrimental to the society or not. So that is the topic of today's debate. So we'll have like a 1 hour session. We're gonna go until like 12:05, let's say. And what we're gonna do is like we will first I'll set the context, and then we will basically have people like volunteering to speak about the topic. And you can basically to in order to speak, you just have to like click on the the button to raise hand. So I'll share my screen just quickly. So you can see here that there's a raise button, right? Raise hand. So you can click on this to, sorry, I think you can see my screen. So you can click on this raise hand to sort of like get in the queue to speak. And whoever is the latest person in the queue will show up here, and we'll call out their name and discuss things. So this is how we're doing things. If you have any suggestions as to like how we can reorganize the way we're doing things, it's absolutely open to suggestions. At the end of the call, like we'll have like maybe spend 5 minutes to discuss like how we can change things up. So it's a very we are a relatively new group. You can see that it's only the debate number 7 that we're doing right now, and you're all welcome to like sort of make suggestions, and we can improve things. The main goal of the group is that we get to speak about topics, and we get to educate ourselves on the topics. We get to entertain perspectives from different backgrounds, and like just it's a space for us to come together and then share our perspectives in a civil manner, and then educate ourselves. So that is the broad purpose of the group. And the topic for today is basically, whether the prevalence of double income, no kids culture is detrimental to society. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ronald was the person who suggested this, right?
No, sir.
Okay,
I'm not sure. But I voted for it, but I am not suggested it.
okay, fine. And I do want to like share a couple of articles just to like give some context on this. So like I found these articles. By the way, like just so that you guys know, like every week, like wherever we have the debates, like we should ideally come in with some preparation about the topic, so that we're trying to speak from an informed perspective. So for that purpose, like yesterday, I posted some a couple of links about this. I hope you guys had some chance to look into this. But basically, a double income no kid setup is defined properly in this article. I hope you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this article goes into the depths of like the different perspectives, the different reasons why people choose this lifestyle. Some people, it's about like preserving the income, the lifestyle, because the moment you have kids, your entire life becomes all about them. So they want to adopt this lifestyle so that they can enjoy their life. And uh, and for some other people, they can't have kids. Maybe they have issues with having kids, so they don't have kids. For some others, like there's also double income no kids households where like you have kids, and then they leave because like they're adults. So those are called empty nests. So there are multiple reasons why double income no kids culture is sort of like expanding. And in this article, actually this one was published just yesterday. I mean, this I was like, I think today only it was published. And basically it talks about like the prevalence of this culture. Like I think that I read that there's a 30% increase every year of these people. Like, the populations of DNK dinks in India has been growing at 30% per annum, right? So clearly there is a growing trend of people adopting this lifestyle of not having kids. And the question that we have for today's debate is basically whether or not this is detrimental to society. So that's a broad context. I hope everybody's on the same page about like what we're talking about. So if you're all clear, then we can start like volunteering to speak about the issue. And I would like for each of you to sort of like briefly, like maybe like take under a minute to sort of like establish your stance. So yeah, Manish. Oh, okay, sorry. Who would want to go first? All right, Pranesh, go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Pranesh. So my particular stance with this is, I think with respect to India, I don't see any negative effect with respect to people practicing DINK. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, by the way, I see a question from Venkatesh regarding what is an empty nest. Empty nest is basically when okay, I think Prirad has answered the question. When kids leave the home after education, basically like when you're like when you have kids like they're 18, or usually in the US it's like in the 18 they leave the house. So that's an empty nest. Yeah, Aniruddha. Aniruddha, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and speak. Okay, I think he's having some issues, technical issues. Rocking Raj, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it is not at all detrimental to the society, especially for a country like India where the population is exploding. Okay. So I would say these sort of concepts have to be welcomed because it is indirectly reducing the population, right? So I would say this is not at all affecting the society as a whole. And also, one more thing is this link is not at all going to change the entire aesthetics of the country, how the country works, how the cultures is in. Okay, it's not at all having the capability to transform everything, I would say. So I don't think it is going to change something in a negative way. But I would say that what I would say is it all boils down to the individual perspective, right? Like, let's say if a couple is opting for not to have children, so that's their opinion. I would say the reason is it's mostly because of the financial, isn't it? Because they are not able to either afford it, or else they are in the middle class zone. They want to rise up from the middle class zone. Okay, only these category people are opting for these sort of things. I would not consider that the people who are in the top 1%, top 2%, they won't go for these sort of concepts because they do have a lot of wealth which has to be taken care by their next generation. So I don't think this is much more prevalent in the top section of the society. Okay, but I would say that the people who are educated, I would say slightly more than educated, and then the people who are having some sort of financial trouble, and then people who are not at all into the kids, maybe they don't even have the maternal instinct, paternal instinct. Okay, I think these are the people who are opting for this. See, you cannot compare apples and oranges, right? Just like that, let's say if you say like it is detrimental to the society, I would say drug addiction is detrimental to the society, but not a person or else a couple is not having kids. Maybe they are accountable for their family, but they're not accountable for the society, right? It all boils down to
Okay.
the opinion.
All
That's
right,
it.
thanks a lot. Just want to set a little bit of context on the reasons why people do this. Also regarding the statement about like the top 1% they won't be doing this. Actually, it turns out that like a lot of higher income people are into this because like especially the urban population, like people who are more individualistic, they feel that they don't want to take on the responsibility of raising another human being. That's a lot of thing, and they want to just like spend their time uh, you know see the thing about the having no kids is that it gives them a certain level of financial freedom. It's not out of hardship that people choose to do this. It's more out of a choice that they do this. If you look at the number of kids in versus the um, you know per capita income or something like that, like the household income. I'm going to try to like find some graphs about this, but my understanding is that the lower income people are the ones that always tend to uh, opt for one or more kids. The poorest of the people are the ones that have multiple kids. You can see this on even on the streets. Like you can see, like, uh, like they're homeless, but they have like 4 or 5 kids, because when they have kids they can actually send them to earn some money. Okay, so this is the thing. And also, when for example, if you have like a couple working in the IT sector or something like that, these people, they rarely have need time. They want to like give themselves some time, instead of devoting their life to their children. So they opt for this lifestyle so that they can have more time just for themselves. So these are some of the reasons why people do this. And also, obviously, there are other reasons. For example, maybe one of the partners is infertile, or they have fertility issues. So that is also tends to be another reason. And some of them, it can also be an ideological reason, completely unrelated to the of the financial aspects. For example, I don't want to bring my child into this world because the world is a really terrible place right now. So there are people who believe that as well. So those are the different motivations for this choice. But yeah, so next, Venkatesh, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Sago. So I believe that there are some detrimental effects to society. That this kind of decision is not free from impact to society. First of all, I should clarify that I believe people do have the right and ought to have the right to decide things like this for themselves. It is certainly a personal choice, so they should have the right, the legal and the moral right to decide for themselves whether they should have children or not. But the impact to society that I'm thinking about is this is mostly a trend with educated people, as someone else pointed out, right? Educated people who have busy lives and careers where both the husband and wife are earning. They are the ones, a subset of them tend to choose this as a lifestyle choice. And there is no evidence at all that people who are uneducated, and I would go so far as to say that a good percentage of them are probably more of a burden to society than an asset. I don't believe they are choosing not to have children, right? I think we can all agree. And so, what can happen over time is that the proportion of educated people, the proportion of productive people who can give something to society, that tends to reduce. And as it is, educated, productive people are a minority in society, especially in a country like India. And actions like these, a lifestyle choice like these, tends to reduce I can say our proportion, because we all belong to that category. It tends to reduce our proportion, and we are actually the most valuable segment of Indian society. And if we choose to reduce our numbers, that is not good for society as a whole. So I believe that this decision does have negative effects, detrimental effects for society as a whole.
Venkatesh, just to clarify, Venkatesh, just to clarify, I think you were saying something about, like, I think we are the population. I didn't get, like, on what basis you're classifying that.
So, in a country like India, right, educated people are a minority.
Mm.
Working people, meaning highly productive people, right? Like, for example, people working in the IT sector or banks, or any almost any kind of job that needs an education,
Mm.
are a minority. Taxpayers are a minority, and there is a very large intersection between all these different sets of people. And the people who are choosing not to have kids precisely come from this set.
Right.
And so we are reducing the proportion of productive, income tax paying, educated members of society by making such a lifestyle choice, which is obviously a detrimental impact to society. And so that's the topic of the debate. Does this decision have a detrimental impact to society?
Right.
And my answer is at least partly yes, because of these reasons. Uh, there are arguments that you can make on the other side. For example, people of this set are the ones who leave a larger carbon imprint. And so they tend to cause more damage to the more per capita damage to the planet than, say, a bunch of homeless people, who have 4 or 5 children. So a case can be made for the other side, but I do think that in a country like India, we need more educated, salaried, productive, income tax paying people. I would not want to have their numbers reduced as a proportion.
Okay. Just to counter, I mean, I do want to, like, say something here. So, it's not, being productive, being educated. These are not like hereditary aspects. These are like things that you can still, even somebody born in the slum can end up like, going to a school that is subsidized by an NGO or something, and then they can end up being an educated person. It doesn't, mean that people who are successful and educated are, essentially they need to repopulate the gene pool with their genes or something. That doesn't. But it does, like, it does make sense that when you do have an educated household, and you have a financial stability, people tend to grow up with a more, like, more stable upbringing, and they can have a more higher chance of like being productive in the society. So that part I would agree.
Yeah.
Just to set a context on that, but and also, I think we need to also look at the dimensions in which it's detrimental. I think Venkatesh like pointed out that, uh, pointed a couple of things, like, for example, the level of education, and then the tax paying people. Obviously, people in the lowest of the lower group, who end up having a lot of kids, they usually don't pay taxes. So that is one dimension, and I do want to explore some other dimensions where, if you are saying that it's detrimental, what are the dimensions in which this is detrimental to the society? and
Um,
and also there is a threshold, like, it's not like, if one or two people here and there do it, it's not going to destabilize the society. But at what point does it become detrimental?
hmm.
Because to a certain degree, it could also be beneficial, like somebody else was pointing, I think Pranav or somebody else was pointing, Pranesh or somebody else was pointing out that, like, we have a population crisis, so it's actually good if people stop having kids. So that maybe to a certain point it is good. But if you look at a nation's, uh, the future prospects, it's basically, you need to have a lot of young kids. Look at Japan, for example. They have an aging population, and it actually has a huge detrimental impact on society.
Yeah.
So you have to also be careful about the threshold at which it becomes detrimental. So I just wanted to point that out.
I agree, Raghav, but just to quickly counter a point that you made earlier, right? That's a good theoretical point that, we are not, educated people are not a gene pool that need to be repopulated from time to time. It's a good theoretical point, but practical studies have shown that the most reliable predictor of, what an individual does, how well they get educated, whether they are productive, and so on, is their parents' status, right? The children of educated parents tend to be educated. The children of productive parents tend to be productive, not in all cases, obviously, but in the overwhelming majority of cases. And this studies have shown this across
Right.
countries. So I just want to leave it there. But I agree with all the rest of the points that you made about what is the threshold. When does it become a problem? So I'll stop here.
Yeah.
I think we should probably hear from
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
others, and then we can.
Thanks, Venkatesh. Yeah. Prasan.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So my take on this topic is the DINK people are kind of very intelligent, and they have a broader view of this society and this world. What's happening is like because of the population, we are kind of taking over a lot of resources, and because of that, a lot of species are getting extinct, right? And that could be that is a valid reason why they don't want to like train the childrens, right? Because they care, they love the children more because like the existing children which are already brought in the society. There are so many orphanages and children, so they think about them more. So that is why they don't want to bring more children, because of that there will be kind of there will be a resource crunch in the society, right? Day by day the population is growing, so if they choose to not have it, somehow help the nature, help uh, the people to manage the resources. At the same time, when I was reading about this, then I got one quote that Buddha said, like, misery of life is death and disease, and death and disease start when people are born. So why to bring someone for the misery? That's all.
Okay, Prasang, just to briefly counter the point, like, population, and you're talking about the environmental impacts. I was earlier discussing, like, in what dimensions it's detrimental. If you're going to argue that it's detrimental, in what dimensions it's detrimental, or if you're saying that it's actually going to be better, then in what dimensions, right? So you're talking about from the perspective of like environmental environmental impact and also human suffering and all these things. It kind of like doesn't really matter what DINK is doing, like to the population of the world. The population of the if you're talking about environmental impact, you cannot talk about it from a local perspective. You have to talk about it from a global perspective, because and also like the demographic in which these population shifts are happening, right? So if you have like a lot of educated people opting, like urban educated people who are who reached a certain level of consciousness, as like somebody else said in the comments, um, when they are opting out to do these things, like I mentioned earlier, like the homeless people are the ones who are having the most number of kids, because they look at their kids as like a resource, a human resource, right? They can send their kids out to like help them while they're doing some work, or they can get them to beg and get some money. So DINK is not going to have an impact on a population like distribution or anything. It's only going to have an impact on at a certain threshold, like for example, let's say that 90% of people are turning into DINKs or something, then it has an impact. I just wanted to emphasize that the argument about like environmental impact, it kind of like holds little relevance unless the shift is kind of massive. Just want to mention that. Yeah, Aniruddha.
Namaskar everyone.
Yeah.
I am Anirudh. Thank you for giving me this floor. And based on my given time, I will try to scrutinize the topic based on the British parliamentary and debating style. At the same time, I will try my best to refute some of the logics that have been given by the opposition leader also. First of all, if we look into our topic, we
Anirudh,
can
just to be clear, like what is your stance? I mean, you talked about an opposition. Like, what is your stance? What is the opposition? Can
okay,
you establish that?
okay, as the topic is saying that a DINK is detrimental to the society. So I am standing for this topic, and whoever is uh, claiming that it is not detrimental to the society, I'm against them.
Okay,
So from my perspective, they are the opposition, and I am standing with the topic.
right,
That's my stance.
sure.
Okay. So first of all, if we look into the topic, we will see that DINK is detrimental to the society. So we are focusing on the society in the first place, and if we think about the persons who are adopting the culture of DINK. First of all, my question is to them: is that if they are enjoying the fruits of the society, the fruits of the garden, what they are leaving for the society? Is this the monetary value? If it is a monetary value and they are not leaving any moral value to the society, then there is no use the monetary value, because the money can come tomorrow. But if the morality, that how to use that money, how to produce that money, is not being provided by the persons, then tomorrow there is no assurance that the society will be rich, or the more rich than the previous day. This is my first stance about the morality of this drink cultural society. Secondly, the DINK, according to the statistics, the DINK couples have lots of dump monies because they don't have anything to spend on their kids. Then and their dump money creates lots of chaos. First of all, look into the if you look into their household chores, or into the families, they buy lots of unnecessary things. And whenever they think that okay, these things are unnecessary and I'm not going to use them, they never sold them to a particular store or shop. What they do is that they just dump into the trash bag, and this gives a lots of problem, as it has been said, as a carbon footprint problem. Secondly, if I more specify the this thing is that DINK is sometimes good for those society which is overpopulated, and sometimes bad for the society that is not popular at all. But the thing is that if a couple is well educated, he or that couple might stay DINK for a certain period of time, like that they are thinking that okay, up to 40 years of age we will adopt this thing, and after that we will think that okay, we should give something to the society, and we should also create some support for our older ages. elder ages, then this thing is good. But if you think about the example that have been raised about the Japan, even Elon Musk is raising the concern is that after a certain amount of after certain years later, Japan will face a severe crisis. Okay, so currently Japan is a role model for moral values, for lots of societal values, and if this country doesn't exist because of its population, then there will be no one left to follow. So this is a very good reason to avoid the DINK culture. But if you look some other aspects also is that someone in our debating society debating discussion, one raised that there is also a uh, higher what should I say, higher uh,
Prevalence.
a higher population of the lower income people that they like to adopt lots of children. So you can also find some cultural tendency of being into the lower income people also. What do we know about being? Ding is a double income, no kids. Okay, so in some lower income families, both the husband and the wife are usually try their best to earn some money, so they both are double income. But because of sometimes because of the financial crisis, they fear to adopt the kid. Okay, so from a perspective, DINK is from a perspective of the poor income people, DINK is nothing but their what should I say, uh, their financial need, that because I am facing some financial problem, I don't have any choice to not having the kid right now. But for the poor rich class people, you can see that okay, this is a luxury thing, so whether or not we should take a kid or not, it won't happen, it won't create impact to the society, rather it will have some havoc on our head. So we should leave it aside. So in that circumstances, we are having a polarity which is not good for the society. And I will try my best to debunk some more points. But right now, as I am crossing my time limit, so I want to leave this floor, and I'm open to any sorts of criticism.
All
Thank you.
right. Thanks, Aniruddha. Yeah, Surya.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, so to actually share about my opinion on this particular aspect, which is gaining more and more traction these days, um, I guess there has been a lot of change with respect to the mindset of the people. Like even if we consider the educated ones, right? Before to actually think about having kids, or to actually go to that stage of having kids, or raising kids, apart from the parents wishes or the parents decision, it was more influenced by the family members. And I guess somewhere the society will also kind of influence, or kind of pressurize that it's been time that you guys have been married, so where are the kids, right? And I guess somewhere the past generations, they actually had kids somewhere. I'll not say completely, but due to that pressure, I would definitely make a point on that, because it is the same. It's the same set of people that whose mindset have been evolving, because the educated ones and their next generations and their next generations, and this is where we are right now, right? So somewhere I would say that like the decision of having kids or raising kids at that point of time, like going down few generations in the past, it was more of a decision that was being influenced by the family members, or people surrounded, the people with whom you are surrounded, right? But now it is more of like It's a free thing right now. People are free to do whatever they want to do. People nowadays, or the generation nowadays, doesn't give much heed about what others are thinking or what the society is thinking about them. And the generation these days is more free, to make their own choices without thinking about, okay, whether I'll be scrutinized, or if I'll be scrutinized, by whom will I be scrutinized, what do I have to even hear. Because what I think is that people these days are very clear on their priorities, firstly, and they are ready to take the necessary steps to align with their priorities. So primarily, I guess I would think that people's priority was to just say, or go hand in hand as per our as per the elders used to say, or as per what the elders used to decide, basically, that when things has to happen, or at what time things should happen. But nowadays, even if we actually look about it, the parents of, because the couples, or the generation who are opting for this DINK, even their parents are also quite okay or quite happy with that, because eventually they also understood that it is them who are actually going to raise the child, or be with the child, or it's going to be their lives eventually. So there's no point in them actually influencing their decisions, or them actually putting the pressure on them, basically.
Got it. Thank you, Surya.
One point that I would like to mention. And secondly, I think it is entirely and completely dependent upon a person, I would say. I mean, having kids or not having kids, when to raise, and it's all subjective to a particular person. I because according to me, raising a kid, or to be very precise, raising the next generation, or the future of this of the future of this country, or the future of the earth, it's the most important task than any other task in this whole world. Because the way we are going to rise, and the way they are going to be molded with respect to everything that's going on, they are going to shape the things in the future. And it's very important that the next generation is molded in a very good way, wherein they take things forward in a much better progressive way than what we have left behind.
So Surya, just to clarify, the second point regarding the raising kids is the most important thing for the next generation, so they need to do that.
Yeah.
Are you saying that from a perspective of like yes, DINK is detrimental, or is it like on what context are you saying that?
No, I didn't get your point,
No, so
Raghav.
so you're saying that raising the kids is the most important thing. So are you saying that people who are adopting this DINK lifestyle are foregoing this responsibility? So that therefore it is detrimental.
No, I'll not say it's foregoing. That's what it's subjective, I'm saying. Because I've seen people who take parenting as just like any other activity, right? Because I mean, and sometimes they do really forget that they are actually raising the upcoming generation of humanity,
Right.
to be
Okay.
put precisely. And when you actually hold the responsibility of molding and nurturing and shaping the future of humanity, how responsible anyone has to be.
Okay. Got it. Got it. All right.
Right. So somewhere I just feel like some people are ready to take that responsibility, and some people are not ready to take that. And so accordingly, I feel is that it should be okay. I mean, it's a subjective decision for each and every person, and I guess the society has to be okay with the couple or the people who opt for this.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Surya. I just want to make a couple of points regarding what Anirudh said and also what Surya said. Like, so the if you look at the culturally from a perspective of cultural motivation for having kids, it tends to be that people who are more traditional, people who are more like middle class or lower middle class, or anybody below the upper middle class, and rich people, they all tend to make decisions from a familial perspective. They want to make a decision that is conducive for the family. This whole like idea of like, DINK culture is more popular among people who take a more individualistic approach to life. These are people who tend to have like nuclear families. They'll move out and they live with their partner, and those kind of decisions about not having kids tends to come from there. If you look at like, an average, the mindset of an average family. If you the your for example, if you're the person who's adopting the DINK lifestyle, your parents are like they're the grandparents of the children that are to come, and grandparents always want kids to come in. They always want kids because like they have a certain, they want to like sort of like have kids in their life, and it's a psychological thing. So it tends to be the case that people who are living in that kind of a setup, in that kind of a family, um, where they have the extended family and all that, those are people who tend to have the most desire to have kids. So that cultural motivation I just wanted to mention as a point. And there was one particular point that Anirudh mentioned, which I want to talk about, which is that people who are opting for this DINK lifestyle, they're not giving anything back to society because they have disposable income, and they tend to like dispose, like they tend to buy a lot of things, and then like they dump it in the thing because they don't care about like selling. These are all like secondary aspects. It doesn't, there is no direct correlation that people who are adopting DINK lifestyle have no care for the environment. Actually, it turns out that a lot of people do tend to do those things because they want to like save. They're conscious of the consequences of them having kids, because they will naturally, they're thinking about the environmental consequences, the burden of overpopulation on the environment, all these things. So I didn't find a lot of merit in that argument, but I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, Pranesh, go ahead.
Hey, so first point was regarding Venkatesh's comment on the educated people. I think there was a bit of misunderstanding. So basically, he was trying to mention that the success depends on your zip code. So basically, if it's like a rich and affluent neighborhood, the chances of success is much more higher when compared to, let's say, a poor background. So I think that's Venkatesh's point. I think there was a bit of misunderstanding, which I do agree with. Next thing was, I think it was like an overlap between Aniruddha and Venkatesh on saying that think people have excess income. I think which is good. They say that it is like they're not going to use it. I'm just saying they are going to use it. So let's say if I have an excess income, and if I go for a trip, let's say I go for some place and I spend on it, it's like I'm transferring that money to somebody else, which is protective in one particular sense. I'm taking the income and I'm spending it on somebody else, and they are going to live their life. So which is protective and also contributes to the economy. So if and think people would obviously be paying taxes, and so they're giving back to the society too. I'm not sure. Just I mean, if you're just having a child, that's like giving back to society. No, it's like you're paying taxes too. You're like going and visiting. You're taking public transport. You're buying something. For all of these things, you're paying taxes. You're giving money to somebody else. You're transferring your wealth. So by this way, also you are being protective. So that's one point. And second thing is with respect to people getting education, the TFR. TFR over here means like the total fertility rate. The total fertility rate is always going to go down. If somebody, okay, I'll just explain the TFR. TFR means like an average number of children a woman is expected to have in a particular country. So that's like TFR. And any country which is like getting developed, the TFR is gonna go down. I think one such prime example is like our nearby neighbor country, which is Bangladesh. I think they had like 5 in 1970s, if I'm not wrong, and now they have gone down to 2. The replacement level is 2.1. So replacement level means like in order to sustain the same demographics of the population, you have to have 2.1. I think they are now below that. Not sure. I read it a bit time, a bit long ago. So please confirm that if anyone possible. So yeah, any developed country, it's gonna go. The TFR is gonna go down. And the second thing was on the population collapse. Just just DINK is not the cause for a population collapse. It's like an n number of factors. Let's say inflation, environment, then societal changes. All of those leads to a population collapse. I mean, many of them mentioned in Japan, Korea, and stuff. So ideally, yes. Due to inflation and such, it's gonna collapse, which is inevitable at this point. Any country which is significantly developed, unless we give them some incentive to have children, they are gonna go into these sorts of things like think or just being single. So they are gonna go to this, which is, I think, only. It's only in the developed countries. Meanwhile, with respect to India, we have like a huge population, and so we don't need to worry about it for at least the next 100 years. Yeah, and also the next thing is we like people being ding, they are redistributing their wealth since they don't have any children. So they redistribute the wealth to the society, and if you see in India, I think the Gini index would be like what 70%? I'm not sure. Like 1% of the population has like 70% of the wealth, and by people getting educated and accumulating wealth and not having children, they are redistributing their money. So, which I think is if you paint a model picture on it, so it would be a good cause. Mm, so those are some of my points. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Pranesh. So would it be effective to summarize your argument as saying that it's actually good for people to be adopt this lifestyle? Are you saying that?
I think it's people's choice, and I don't see anything negative with that. So if people want to do it, go ahead and do it. Yes.
Okay. All right. I do want to make a one small point. Like, I actually believe that it's actually beneficial for people to adopt the DIMT lifestyle, especially in a country like India, because I see that a lot of people are are basically they grow up like listening to their parents and doing what their parents are saying, and then they reach a certain age, like maybe 25 to 30, something like that, and then they end up like getting married and having kids. The first thing they do after getting married is to have a kid. Like it's almost like it's like a standard. They don't even think about it. And what happens is that they transfer their lifestyle from serving their parents' wishes to basically serving their children's needs. So what ends up happening is that they as an individual, they have no imprint. They just follow like an automaton. They just like follow the trend or the acceptable norm or whatever, and then they just they think that's a normal thing. And if you look at like if you look at the outcome, like productivity of that person, they're probably going to end up in a salaried position, like as an employee, just like doing whatever they're told, and making a stable thing, like like they're probably their benchmark of success is that they have enough income to sort of like feed their kids, and they have a good lifestyle, good education for them. Maybe they want to take a vacation once or twice a year. So this tends to be like the norm for what people are aspiring for. And this is my personal view, that I feel like more people need to like dream beyond that. They should be able to dream beyond just like living an average lifestyle and thinking of that as a success. And I think that if more people in India adopt this DINK lifestyle, they will have a brief period in their life, even if it's just delaying the raising of kids. They will have a brief period in life. They can live as individuals, and they can evolve their own individuality. Because if you listen to your parents and do what you're told, you're not going to like engage your own mental apparatus. You're not going to engage your own like ability to form ideologies and things like that. You won't have a say. Like you'll just be somebody who just like follows the herd. And I feel like that is a huge problem in India, especially because that people are more susceptible to just follow whatever wherever the crowd is going. You can see, like even in the schools, like children will sort of like do what everybody else is doing, and that the culture of individuality is missing in the country. And I feel like prevalence of DINK can actually help achieve that sense of individuality, and it can promote, like people maybe like in the 5 or 10 years that you're not 5-10 years, but like maybe 5 to 8 years that you're planning to be adopt this DINK lifestyle, you can maybe like evolve to a certain degree where you go beyond just being an employee to somebody else. Maybe you start to see the problems that exist in society. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to solve problems. So you can actually, even without the kids in the picture, it can lead to a personal evolution that can have a positive impact on society. And I do believe that we don't have a crisis in terms of like lack of like newborns. We have a actually the problem is it's an abundance of it. So I do think that it can actually be beneficial to society if more people adopt the DINK lifestyle. So that's just my view. Yeah, rocking Raj.
Yeah, I would respectfully disagree with the fact that a educated couple would give rise to be a successful citizen. This is not the case, okay? Especially in the 21st century with all this technology, the technology which is advanced right now, it is going to be obsolete tomorrow. That's how things are changing. So if you want to be successful, creativity is the key. Creativity is the key. That's it. Nothing else. So the second fact is the people who are dinks or the people who are not married, they are at a better chances of taking risk. If you are taking risk, there is a higher chance for you to innovate. If you innovate, it is going to be a good thing for the entire country because if you innovate, if you just come up with a new technology, so rather than just being a salaried person, as you said, Raghav, so rather than just being the conventional, just doing the conventional things, if you just think outside of the box, okay, I would say you would get more amount of time to think of some things which are extraordinary. Cannot just travel. Okay, people just say like ding people just do the materialistic things. Okay, and then they just travel. No, it's not the case. Okay, they do stuff beyond that. They are literates. They do have the consciousness to think beyond that. That's it. So yeah, and the third point is the if for the DINK culture, if this DINK culture is going to be prevalent in our country, the people who have already reached the middle class stage, once these people leave this world, the people who are at the I would say unfortunate section, the people who are at the lower section, they would have the privilege to replace the section which has went this world, which went away from this world. So what am I trying to say is the people who has been in the lower section of the society, they would get the opportunity to get more resources, okay, and also they would get better access to the education. If the people who are in the middle class people, okay, if they went away from this world, so they would get the opportunity to raise their standards, okay, to get rich and all this stuff. Okay, I would say this is there are more advantages for a country like India if you employ the DINK culture. Yeah, one more thing is as you know, right, as the country progresses, as the time progresses, the quality of education today is going to be much less than the quality of education tomorrow. Let's say after 20 years, the quality of education is very high. At that time, there is a higher chance that the people, even though they are at the lower section, they would be having the higher chance to create something new. It's not just the people who are in the privileged section who are in the richer section. So I would say the entire dynamics are going to change.
Okay, rocking Raj, just to just to add one small point, like you cannot indefinitely delay the prospect of having kids. Like I think there is a certain age limit where it becomes kind of unhealthy to try to have kids. There is a lot there's a greater probability of like miscarriages or like children being born with defects and all these things. So you cannot indefinitely postpone it. But I agree with a lot of the things that you said. I just want to like underscore one small point that you cannot indefinitely delay having kids. If you're planning to have kids, it's best to have it within a certain age period. But yeah, and also one more thing I want to mention is that if you're raising your hand, please mute yourself so that For example, I think Venkatesh had raised his hand, but I think it automatically lowered his hand because maybe he made a small noise in his mic, and I think Google Meet thinks that he already spoke, so it lowered his hand automatically.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I'm next in line.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Venkat.
So, I think that we've got a little, far away from the topic by bringing in the notion of couples who decide to delay kids and then, take some risks and so on, and then eventually decide to have kids later on. That is, I don't believe that's the topic of today's debate at all. We are talking about people who, have two incomes and no children, and they, do not plan to have children. I believe that's the point of that. And I wanted to go back to something which came up earlier. Is there a threshold at which this starts to become a problem? So the issue that I had mentioned was that the proportion of educated, productive people will reduce over time. The question is, are the things too few in number to have that kind of detrimental impact on society, or and what's the threshold at which it starts to become a problem? I don't know at what threshold it really starts becoming a problem, but there are warning signs, and I just wanted to make a comment about the trends. If you look at people who came of childbearing age in the 1940s and 50s, they tended to have relatively large families, right? You know, we can look at our own families and other families. They tended to have five or more children. And then if you look at the people who came of childbearing age in the 60s and 70s, the families tended to be smaller, three or in many cases two children. Whereas if you look at the millennials, that is the people who came of childbearing, who were born in the 80s and came of childbearing age in the 1990s or 2000s, they tended to have even fewer kids. One child is what I see typically. And if you look at the generation that is of childbearing age now, very few of them seem to be having any children at all. If they have, maybe it's one kid, and very few of them seem to be married at all. Right? So if you look at the trends are alarming. Are we at the tipping point? Are we at the threshold where this is a problem already? I don't know, but the trends are alarming, and I think the warning bells are ringing loud and clear. That is basically what I wanted to say. Thanks.
Venkat, just to clarify on what you just said, like when you say like the trends, like the fewer people are having, even fewer people are having it. Are you talking from a statistical perspective or like an anecdotal perspective?
Anecdotal perspective. So again, in these things, it's much better to have statistics, so that we can prove our point. I agree, but what I'm seeing is anecdotal, but in a very very large number of cases. I'm looking at my family, my extended family, family of friends, their extended families, pretty much all the people that I know, and this is what I'm seeing. And others, if there is data that contradicts it, feel free to point it out. But I'm talking based on anecdotal data.
Okay, got it. All right, thanks, Venkatesh. And also, I do see like Yashwant is typing a lot of stuff in the comments. I would really highly encourage you to also join the queue and like contribute in a voice manner, because like it that's what people are listening. Like nobody's reading it. We are listening to each other talk, and we're not really reading the comments. If you're reading the comments, we are not listening to people. So I would encourage you to unmute yourself and speak. Just raise your hand and join the queue, and then like speak your mind, Yashwant. So that's one thing I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
mention.
just want to clarify one
Yeah.
thing to Venkatesh in just 30 seconds. See, what I meant to say is for a DINK people, they are having the better of taking risk because they don't have any responsibility. If you have a family, you will have some sort of responsibility. If you don't have the responsibility, you can take more risk that can lead to taking up new things, new projects, okay, that can lead to innovation, that can lead to some sort of prosperity. That's what I meant to say. That is going to be I would say, fruitful thing for the society, for the entire
I,
country as well.
I agree with that. Whether those people are actually doing those things, I don't know. But I agree that potentially they can take more risks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah, I think Prirad, you're next.
Yeah, hi, good morning all. So my stand is that whether you want to have a child or it's better not to have a child, that's a personal point of view. Whoever wants to take that decision should have the freedom to take that. And since we live in a democracy like India, I think we do have sufficient freedom to take that decision. So I feel like my stand is it depends on what a person actually wants to do with their life and what their personal choices are. And to corroborate that point, I would say, like, since we have already spoken about taxes and how it would impact the economy and the other demographic points, I would like to add about the psychological aspect because somebody is a parent, as I think Surya mentioned, it's a very important role. So, like, you are a mentor. Basically, you are raising a child and telling them how they are supposed to live in this world, how they're supposed to navigate the various issues they face in this world. And imagine if a person becomes a parent only because of the herding mentality, as you said, Raghav. Everybody in our country would generally go where the crowd is. So, like, there's a lot of herding mentality. So, like, everybody is becoming a parent. This is the path I'm supposed to follow. So, I will also become a parent. That kind of an attitude generally does not serve the child. First and foremost, I talk about the child because it doesn't serve the child at all. Because you're becoming a parent not because you want to be one, but just because you want to fit into the society. So like you're not going to be doing anything like out of the norm for the child. Like you won't think, you might 50% chances there you might turn out to be an extraordinary parent, but 50% chances also there that you might not be that much into that process of raising the future generation of our country and of the planet. So like that psychological aspect is very important, because you see, if you see, the suicide rates are at all time high, anxiety is at all time high, depression is at all time high, and I would say most of the population is recovering from the some trauma or the other that they faced in their childhood. So like if a parent, if a person becomes a parent through their own wish and will and wanting to be that guidance force in a child's life, superb, nothing better than that, because they would give their all to that. But if they're becoming a parent when they actually want to explore their life, and they want to do something creative with their life, they want to do something, become something else in their life, achieve more, and then they end up blaming the child. I wish I had not had this child at that time. Maybe they wouldn't vocalize it, but they might feel it. And children are impressionable. They will sense that for sure. So like these kind of things can affect a person well into their adulthood also. So on the whole, when the child then joins the society, he becomes a part of the fabric of the society, and not a great part, right? When somebody has had a great child, some kind of childhood trauma, they are not a great part of the society. So I feel like there's nothing wrong in taking time out of your life and building your life as you want to build it, and not as what society expects you to be. So like it's I feel it's perfectly fine for like, if the income to support yourself, you're paying your taxes and you're contributing to the economy. Yeah, if you don't want to be a parent and you don't think that you can do a good job being a parent, kudos to you for taking that decision to not be and stepping back from it. But if you can be a parent and your mind is all in it, then go for it. So I feel like my stand would be, it's fine. It's a personal choice, and it's entirely up to the couple to take that decision.
Yeah, just a couple of points here. We've reached about 12, 11, 12 1. We can I think we can extend it up to 12:15 or even 12:30 if we need to make additional points. And just to respond to a couple of things that Prirad mentioned just now, about the herd mentality, and I would really applaud it if the people who are following the herd mentality are even consciously making the decision, like for example, oh, everybody's having kids, then I should also have kids. If that is actually a conscious thought, I would applaud it. But from what I've seen, that's not even a conscious thought. Like that question of whether or not to have kids doesn't even enter their head, because they by default they know that they have to have kids because that's the norm, that is the expectation. They don't challenge the expectation. So when they do have like choices, they would think like whether whether we should have a boy or a girl, or like whether we want to have a boy or girl, or what are we going to name the child, what are we going to where are we going to send them to kids. There's a certain lack of like conscious decision making amongst people who are that in that herd mentality. That's one observation I wanted to make. But yeah, I think next is Surya. Surya, can you please unmute yourself and speak?
Yes, thank you. It's Mira, right?
I think Prirad. I don't know what her name is.
Preeta. My name is Preeta. Hi.
Okay, great.
Preeta. Thank you, Preeta, for putting, I mean, like, agreeing to my point, and, putting forward, your word in a much more, in a very thoughtful manner. I would say there are like really, really valuable points. So one point that I would like to add from my end is that people have, I mean, like this generation, like, or these generations that are currently going on, people have become very practical about raising a kid without, I mean, like not getting into the emotional aspect of it. I guess people are more into, becoming, not becoming, giving that practical thought that how we are going to at this point of time with the kind of financial resources that we have right now in our hands. So how well, or how what amount of better future they'll be able to give their kids, because like we are the medium through which the new generations actually come onto this world, on they see this world or they experience this world. So at the same point of time, it's the responsibility of the parents to give the right education and right nutrition and right atmosphere till the point where they have not completely emerged as individuals, like complete individuals, where they can take their own decisions, or with respect to their lives, right? So I guess a lot of thinking is being put in this aspect, which was not happening in the earlier generations. That's what I would say. Because as I was saying that it was being influenced, and even though parents were not okay, or were not ready mentally also, they were like, okay, elders were saying, so let's do that. They were not actually giving this level of in-depth thinking, that what kind of education or what kind of nutrition or what kind of atmosphere or the environment they'll be providing to the next generation. And I guess, and not I guess, I would say that these three are the most important things in nurturing the upcoming generation, or the new generation, or the new kids, I'll say. And yeah, so I guess that this is one point where, like this aspect of DINK is being adopted by many and many people in the current generation.
All right, guys. I think we can try to wrap in the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes. But yeah, just to keep that in mind. Kapil, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Raghav. So a few points were mentioned, so I'd like to respond one by one to them. So I think one was the environmental impact point which was made. So I think there is no doubt as such that having DINK is better for the environment. The carbon footprint of having a children is way more than how much a DINK people can travel. I mean, it will, unless they are flying on private jets, I don't think it will match. So as far as environment is considered, I think being DINK is a good sign for environment. And another point was that asking parents for kids, I mean, asking your parents for kid, or that your parents have an expectation for grandchild, so that should be met. So I'm not sure. I mean, it is even the domain of the grandparents uh, to. I mean, I don't think it even lies in their domain to ask their child to give them a grandchild. I don't think it is a decent thing to ask. And one was regarding that the DINK people are materialistic and all that, but I mean, this is too rich to say that DINK are materialistic, and the all other who are having kids, those guys are doing it for the betterment of the society. I have never met any single person who bore kids to the earth for the betterment of society or the humankind. People do it for their own personal reasons and their own materialistic personal reasons. And I mean, so DINK just does not have it is not like not just a materialistic idea, but it has a solid philosophical underpinning also. I'm not sure whether that was discussed before, so just would like to mention that one point, that it comes from the this antinatalism. It comes from the some Buddhist ideas. So the foundation there is that human life in itself is a suffering. So no matter who you are, you will suffer, and no matter at what level of what strata of society you are standing on, what is your economic level, you are suffering. And so, is it a good thing to bring another human being to the earth first without his permission, and then you cannot ensure, even after bringing him to the earth, that he will not suffer? So, is it a good idea to bring anyone else to the earth to suffer? So, that is the theoretical or a philosophical underpinning of this idea. So, uh, if anyone else have any other thoughts, then yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Kapil. Yeah, Ronald.
Yeah, thanks so much. As we are running late, I won't be taking much of time explaining what my thoughts are, but I just want to uh, mention one thing. Why should we be looking the next generation as a product, basically? Because I have seen a lot of conversation going through being productive, not productive. We are not going to make any machines, and that topic that we are mentioning is like being productive means like making money or economic activity in the society. I don't think that is the that should be the base concern for having a decision on whether to have a next generation or not. And about the environmental thing, it is this generation which is making the mess. Okay, uh, if we cannot control it just by having kids or not having kids, nature can take its own course if we don't do the right things. So we can gradually get into each and every ideological this thing, connecting it to our personal reasons. So just because of I am attaching my personal agenda to a greater good thing which society is saying, which is basically the herd mentality. I need to be some way in the larger aspect. They are also being into the larger herd mentality, that at least okay, this person is good, doing for the society. That is the reason he is choosing DINK or not choosing the DINK. So taxes, lower income people paying, not paying, higher income people paying, that is also a kind of, we have two types of taxes. That is the only reason. We have indirect taxation system where everybody is paying the taxes. That's not, that couldn't be the reason for it at all. And parents raising a kid, it's not that they are the only one who is making the next generation. There are two main places where next generation can learn from. It is schools, education system, and the parents. But nowadays it is majorly being the education system. So if we really care about that next generation, they have to be better than us, we can think about correcting the education system that we are building up. uh, uh, yeah, since we are running out of time, I'm leaving it for now.
Okay, thanks,
But
Ronald.
being productivity shouldn't be linked with DINK or having a kid or not, is what I really. It's much more sensitive, because having a kid is not just about having something else in the house. It's much more than that. And one more thing, each and every parent should identify, means the gonna be parents or DINK parents, are they, can they really live alone even for a single day by themselves? Currently, whoever is taking the decision, if they think and live for a week without even meeting their partner, without even having any social this thing, can they really live on their themselves? If they are such conscious, they can choose that way. Because when you are young, you have all the resources and you have the liberty to roam around the places, parties. It feels very live and energetic. But as and when the people are growing, if they cannot be happy when they are alone, that will be a problem. I'm sorry. Yeah,
All right.
that's all from my end.
Thanks, Ronald. Pranesh?
Just wrapping up. So my final points would be: I think it's high time that we paint being materialistic as a negative picture. So we have to leave that, especially in this economy and this in this globalization period. I think we should stop seeing it as a negative thing. And the second one is, having children shouldn't be seen as a moral duty. It should be seen as a choice. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Pranesh. I think that's a good place to wrap up the session today. I just want to like make some points regarding like just to, I think just to summarize, I would say that I think we brought in a diverse perspectives here. I didn't know a lot of the perspectives that are coming in. Obviously, like we all have our own individual like subjective experiences. For example, I'm single. I'm 34. I'm single. I don't have any plans to get married or have kids at the moment right now. And I think that some of you guys like you may already have kids, so it's really wonderful to see like different perspectives coming in. And I do want to say that we see a new bunch of new people here from a perspective of the debate club as such. I do want to say I want to hear from some of the newer people, like as to how they found out about the debate club, and how their experience has been, so that we can sort of incorporate suggestions and improve things for better. So I see a bunch of new faces here, like I think Rocking Raj, Shreya, I think Amruta. I think Amruta. I didn't see her say anything. but I do want to like maybe if you guys can unmute yourself and just like say a few words on Yashwant as well. Just share your experience of this session and how you found out about the club and what your experience has been. That would be wonderful. We can use those things to improve our experience. So that if anybody, if any of the new members, if they want to like unmute themselves and share their experience, that would be great.
Yeah, just want to share, Raghav. This is not my first call. This is my
Oh, I see.
second
Okay.
call. I have been here, okay, for the secularism topic.
I see. Got it.
So just
Got it.
my name is different. That's it.
Got it.
I'm just using some sort of different account. But
Okay.
the overall experience is really cool because I can get to see a lot of people, a lot of perspectives. Okay, I can learn a lot of stuff. Okay, that's really
Okay.
cool.
Awesome. Awesome. What about Shreya, Amruta, Yashwant?
Yeah, so yeah, this was my first time. I just I wanted to just see how it goes, and I just realized that there are so many, different perspectives that I could understand, because we may think the topic is only like two-sided, but I understood like different kind of views or point of views from different angles. So I guess it was quite much informational. So I am planning to, give my part of the talks or the debate content from next onwards, so that I've got familiar, right, like how the conversation
Mm.
or the topic goes. So yeah, it was quite informational, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Shreya. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Amrita. Actually, I'm from Pune, and this is my second time.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm so happy to join this club because it helps me to improve my skills actually. And I wanted to have the club where I can express myself really.
Mhm.
And this topic was very new to me. I never read about this or I never come across this term, so I was not sure what to put forward. So I'm glad that I got so much information about something new, and I would like to keep continuing this. Thank you.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I see that Yashwant joined via Meetup, so that's great. All right, guys. So I think we can wrap it up here. I do want to actually there is one as we were like, closing this down. Like I wanted to, um, like maybe one of the things that I want to discuss is like is it beneficial to have these kind of open debates without a verdict at the end? Because like I don't feel like comfortable like giving a verdict as to yes or no, because I don't think first of all I'm qualified to do it, because like I don't have all the different experiences that you guys have. Like so if I do say something as a host, then it doesn't really encapsulate all the perspectives shared. I can only probably give a summary. The other thing is like uh, like I do feel like there is a lot of people who don't like open-ended debates. Yeah, so I think Venkatesh is agreeing that the no verdict is great. I just wanted to like mention that
But we
because
can,
like
yeah. I think it's much better because having a 1 hour conversation and coming to a conclusion and leaving to a larger audience who are observing or uh, just new to the topic or kind of a thing will lead to a maybe it could be disastrous for them if the
right.
decision is wrong. As you were rightly mentioning, we are not even in a right position to take the judgment whether it
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
or wrong, whatever it is. So it's better if it is an open-ended thing, so that the topic is continuous wherever they are going to,
Yeah.
in
That's a good
whichever
point.
field they are into. So I think at least this forum, if it is open, it's much better, since
Yeah.
1 hour is not going to make any verdict kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I agree, because like I think if we do have a verdict, right, what will happen is people only will carry the verdict. They will forget all the other
Yes,
points made, and that's not really good.
true.
So I think
Yeah,
it's good
and
to have open.
some topics are very nuanced, so they require nuanced kind of argument where your argument will fall on both sides of the
Exactly,
divide.
exactly. Right.
So one thing we could do is say changing name from debate to discussion. So in debate, generally it is required to have two sides, but in discussion can go anywhere. So we
Right.
kind of have a
Actually,
discussion.
there is a specific reason why we're calling it a debate, because we want it to be like a collusion of like various perspectives, like predominantly opposing perspectives. That's where all the meat, like the juice is. I feel like only when people of opposing perspectives come together, there is sort of like opening up of new perspectives. I don't think there is
Yeah,
any value in like people of like who agree with each other coming in and having like an echo
yeah.
chamber. So that's why this debate was chosen as a conscious decision. Um, But yeah, I think we've reached a certain point where we can close things. But a couple of people have raised their hands. But guys, like we can forget the queue system. Just unmute yourself and speak, and then we can close it.
Yeah, so I think it's better we have it as an open-ended. I think we should see this as some kind of guide so that people note down the points and they do their own research and
Yeah.
change their opinions or not after a point in time.
Sure.
So it's better we keep it as open-ended.
Right. Right. Got it. Okay. I think Shreya, you had something.
Yeah, like adding to the Pranesh mentioned point. So sometimes we might get this like topic today, but then after few 4 days, sometimes the recommendation of internet goes wild and it shows more results. So I guess it becomes like diversified, and the topic, the knowledge that we have, so it might change over the week. So it's better to keep it open ended. So that is the
Perfect.
reason why I mentioned to keep it open ended
Got
rather
it.
than
Got it.
keeping it a worded. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, guys. I think we can close it here. We've reached 12:20, and I just want to say like it would be great if you guys can spread the word and like share the meetup with your friends, join the WhatsApp group, and like maybe suggest new topics and share the spread the word so that we can have more people coming in, more diverse perspectives. That would really like enrich the conversation and the discussion. So please share the message. I will post like a sample message that you can send to your social media and then get more people onboarded. And if you have any suggestions, please do leave that in the WhatsApp group. And I would highly recommend you to suggest topics using the Google form in our official website. I will post all the links in the WhatsApp group. Okay. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next week. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
weekend.
everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.